Obviously, there's some macroeconomic forces that are at play as well. Healthcare reform is pending in Congress. There's a variety of other things, pension portability, and whether we'll ever get to this idea of the free agent workforce. Do you see that happening in the near future?
No, I don't. I don't think that we see, or we're likely to see, any business-to-business companies, marketers, business-to-business marketing organizations really consider franchising or free agenting their sales forces. In most companies today, the vital link between the company and its customers is the sales force. And when you think about this in sort of a macro sense, most organizations have three sort of critical assets. They have their people, they have their customers, and they have their intellectual property as evidenced by their products and their services. And the first two of those, the customers and the employees, or their people and their customers, are not likely to be ones that companies are going to want to cut loose from and give up control on. So, there's a lot of interesting things going on in the economy in terms of cost cutting and reduction, but I don't think we're going to see companies eventually cut loose of their sales organizations. They need their sales organizations to maintain that vital link between the company or the enterprise and its customers.
Jerry, you mentioned a minute ago that companies are looking again at their recognition programs as one way to leverage this current economic environment. Obviously, at World at Work, we love to talk about total rewards and the holistic package. How persuasive is total rewards in the sales environment? And are you seeing companies that really do it well?
That's a really interesting question, Ryan, because as long ago as 2004, when World at Work began to emphasize to the members the importance of total reward, both as a cultural imperative and as a philosophy of management, my partner Mary Fiss and I wrote an article on called Thoughts About Total Rewards and Sales Compensation. And in that article, which was interestingly featured on our website, and of all of the articles I think we did that year of 2004, we probably got the most feedback on that particular article, because in it we postulated that it was not all about pay, that pay was an important part of total rewards management with the sales force, and typically sales forces and sales management is vitally concerned about pay and pay levels and spiffs and recognition programs. But what we in effect postulated is that there were three other important elements that were critical, and these sort of play into the World at Work's philosophy around the work environment. One was the second, in addition to total pay, the number 2, 3, and 4 were, 2 was the compelling issues or the compelling reasons why salespeople should be with your organization. The third one was individual growth, that is the opportunity to grow with the organization. And the fourth was workplace culture. What kind of an organization am I a part of? Is it an organization that appreciates the sales force and its contribution? Is it an ethical organization? So compelling issues or compelling future opportunity that you provide to sell new products and new technology, individual growth, how do I grow within the organization, and workplace culture. We found that in organizations we were working with then, and over time organizations that we have talked with, to the extent that there's a balance among those four, total rewards does start to take hold in the organization, and it does make a difference. When there isn't a balance across those four, what happens is all the pressure goes on to pay. Okay? And so you get a culture in which management really comes to believe if we don't pay them, they won't do it. Okay? And so I believe that one of the things that the total rewards perspective brings to the organization, and why I'm always so encouraged in the classes that I teach for World at Work when participants talk about sales compensation and total rewards, is it says to me that they're not placing all of their bets on the sales comp plan. They're really spreading out their focus and their effort to get a better balance.
Are you seeing some clients, and you don't need to name names if you don't want to, but are you seeing some clients who really get this? And if so, can you give us just a few anecdotes about companies that are really doing total rewards with their sales force?
We do see companies doing this, and I think the companies that do this well are ones that have an approach to communication about total rewards in terms of what that means to the sales organization, Sure, they talk about total pay and how we have total pay positioned in reference to the marketplace, but they talk about these other factors that I've mentioned in terms of what that means to the sales force and to salespeople in terms of the sustainability of their career with the organization. So they talk about the importance of our new technologies, our new products. And I mean, and if you look at some of the organizations that have embraced a total rewards philosophy with their sales organization, they talk about they're very opportunistic or they're very aspirational. They talk about the things that you can do here that you can't do at another organization because we invest in not only our product portfolio, but we invest in individuals. We equip you with the tools and therefore the ability to get the capability to get the skills that you need to be successful. So I would say that one of the things that we've seen companies do well that distinguishes them, the companies that embrace total rewards that have done well with sales organizations, is we see them launch a fairly consistent communication, not just annually, but quarterly. I mean, sure, they have their statements of compensation and benefits, but they also have statements that speak to the workforce, the workplace environment in terms of what it means to be a part of this organization and how this organization is going to go forward. Terrific. And I do think that sales forces do get it. I mean, if you look at organizations that have done well in this, salespeople, they stay longer. You have less concerns about retention because they see the bigger picture.
You said a few minutes ago, Jerry, you do not have a crystal ball, but I do need to ask. There's a lot of speculation now about whether this recovery is going to be an L-shaped, a U-shape, a W-shape. What are you seeing in 2010 for sales plans and beyond?
Well, I think that going forward into if we just focus on 2010, the thing that we hear more frequently than not from sales leaders and salespeople is that they want to have reaching but yet realistic goals going into 2010 and beyond. So I think the challenge that most companies face as they're using their sales compensation plans this year and into the future is to make sure that the goals, the quotas, the objectives, however they're referred to in terms of the performance standards that are laid before the sales force, they're reaching but yet realistically achievable. And realistically achievable means that about 60% to 2/3 of the sales force is going to meet or exceed quota. And frankly, when that's not possible, organizations have larger problems. And if you only can see your way clear to a fourth or a third of your salespeople making their quota or their goal, it probably means you have unrealistic business plans and you're probably not going to achieve that business plan. So the number one thing that we believe companies can do to get sales compensation back on track in 2010 and beyond is to make sure that the quotas and goals that they're laying on their salespeople are realistic.
Well, Jerry, I want to thank you for coming in today and spending a few minutes.
Always great to be with you, Ryan. Thanks for the opportunity to visit.
For additional information about the research or books mentioned on this video, visit worldatwork.org or Colletti Fiss. Jerry, thanks again for coming in. For World at Work Bookshelf, I'm Ryan Johnson.